Can we learn how to see again? Hello everyone, this is John Cuddeback with your Bacon from Acorns Wednesday quote. This week's quote is from Dr. Joseph Pieper. It's from a book of his called Only the Lover Sings, and the essay is called Learning How to See Again. Man's ability to see is in decline. Those who nowadays concern themselves with culture and education will experience this fact again and again. We do not mean here, of course, the physiological sensitivity of the human eye. We mean the spiritual capacity to perceive the visible reality as it truly is. So it seems we need to make a distinction about this amazing thing called human seeing, human vision. What does it mean to see? Just keeping this on the sense level, we need to make a distinction. There's what he calls the physiological reality. There might be a difference between this person and that person in the ability to see, which is really just a bodily difference in the sense of the good disposition of the organ of vision. This person has 20/20 vision, this person doesn't. This person needs glasses, this person is in better health. So what is seen, what comes into the field of vision of a person varies from one person to the next in simply that bodily way. This person's vision might be a little clearer, it might have more full color in it than this person's does. But then it's a different kind of difference that's still on the sense level. This isn't yet really an intellectual difference. And I put it this way, it's what is seen within what's being seen. Or we can say what's noticed or picked up in that field of vision. Consider this, someone who knows birds well, in other words, someone who has just had a lot of sense experience of birds. When a bird comes into his field of vision, you can say he sees something in it that this person over here next to him does not see, even though he sees the same thing. Indeed, this person over here might even have better eyesight on the first level, but still isn't picking up certain detail, such that the first person might indeed well say something like, I see a bird. As the second person says, I see a nuthatch. Now, the first person in reality is seeing a bird that is a nuthatch. And if someone else, as it were, could come into his eyes and see that field of vision that he sees, this other person would recognize that it's a nuthatch, but the first person doesn't. And I'd say it's not that he just doesn't know the name. He really doesn't even recognize, he doesn't pick up, perceive certain details that the other person does because of a difference in experience in using their senses. So it's particularly at this second level that Pieper is concerned about our ability to see. And indeed, as he proceeds in this article, he argues that we are losing the ability to see. Again, not on the first level of physiological ability, but on the level of what we actually perceive, pick up, recognize, notice in our field of vision. So it's fascinating and it's challenging that he's pointing out there are various different factors that can go into our ability to see well with our eyes. It makes me think of a man I knew once, an old timer, who I had the privilege to be able to take out hunting one time in the waning days of his life. He was beyond the point where he would actually hunt, but he'd always hunted and he loved going out. So I took him out and I sat in a tree stand next to him. And I always remember after quite a while of our sitting there in silence, I was wondering how he was doing. And I just said to him, Mr. Jimmy, how you doing? And he said, John, I'm doing great. I just love to look here, I just love to sit here and look. It was so beautiful. I'll never forget that. And I remember wondering, what's he seeing as he looks? You know, those old timers had a certain kind of experience that led to their field of vision being very full. I think if we're going to have that kind of experience, which we certainly can, we're going to have to work for it. If there's anything in what Dr. Pieper's saying, we're going to have to make a specific effort to learn how to see again. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to take two major suggestions that Dr. Pieper makes. One's a kind of negative one of being disciplined and removing what he calls visual noise from our day. And the other one is a surprising positive thing that he recommends that we can do to cultivate our ability to see. I have a couple more reflections at my website, and I hope you have a great week. I look forward to seeing you next week.